So welcome back to Water Power Planet, everyone. Warp speed wasn't fast enough. We're gonna have to move at ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed! Go!
That's the only way we're gonna get through this. We're gonna have to speed these video ups. They're gonna be a lot faster. I'm gonna slap things together as fast as I can for you guys because we're completely out of time now. So we're gonna talk more about these elements. Let's discuss these non-renewable energies. Now they've taken these sheeple on a ride around the planet. Think about that. This perfect globe, this sphere, this ball that we're all living on, just spinning in space. And there's no sense looking for these non-renewables up at the Arctic. There's no sense hunting them down out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. No, they've taken these sheeple for some rides around the world, on some wild adventures, looking for these non-renewable energies. Think about that. So the buck stops here, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna turn this into the hydro dollar. See, it's already labeled number 1. It's already got the tetrahedron on the back. So it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. There's no sense chasing these non-renewables all around the planet. So we can get the energy right out of the sink. That's what's important. We don't have to go traveling all over the globe. We don't have to go crossing the desert. None of these wild adventures with these sheeple. So the energy's right there. We're going to use the table of elements to get ourselves out of this mess that mankind has gotten himself into. It's all about the hydrogen. It's where the clean energy is at, see? We're going to talk more about these elements. We're going to speak more of these atoms. This is where the power is at. And these atoms get their place on the table of elements by their atomic number. So you have to go by the number. It's very important. The electrons vary, and the neutrons that they may have may vary too. But the proton is where the atomic nucleus is where they get their atomic number and their place on the table of elements. So the key to the hydrogen was the sodium atom. That was the key to the whole thing. So it starts with the electron. And this is the path to endless amounts of clean energy. It's going to lead us to the photon energy. So we're going to move along fast in these videos, so hold on tight. They're not economically viable. It's not clean energy. It never was. They're becoming non-essential. So we're not going to need these energies anymore. They're obsolete. All these non-renewables. So we don't have to go searching around for the gasoline anymore. We're going to be a little smarter now. This is the future. We got to start living it. So I'm going to show you how you can get to the photon energy here. So you can produce the limelight just like I was doing in my other videos. I'm going to show you how the reactor works. You know, as we move at warp speed here, I'm going to have to, be a little cheaper on filling the things out. I didn't even bother put the electron orbitals on these atoms. But I just wanted to show you, once you get through all this, you're just going to end up back at the electron again. It's renewable energy. We're just flexing the water molecule. We're flexing the water molecule. We're using the electrons to break it apart and we're putting it back together again. In an endless cycle of thermal explosive energy. Think about that. Just an endless cycle of energy. So we're going to talk more about that. And all these atoms are very special. Each one of them is connected and intertwined. We're going to be able to make everything we need. So when you get to the photon energy, there's a lot of ways you can do this. I told you guys I'm trying to speed this up. So you can have platinum, palladium, and calcium. So there's 3 ways you can go. There's many ways you can do this. So you can use the limestone, the calcium oxide, the catalytic converter, okay? Or you can use a Coleman mantle for one of these things. I'm sorry I don't have any mantles on me, but I could show you what a Coleman lantern looks like. So the mantles that connect in there can be used just as easy. So in layman's terms, I tried to make it where anybody could use this. So it's an endless amount of power. It all comes from the atoms, and it didn't matter if you had limestones, it didn't matter if you had a catalytic converter, if you couldn't get your hands on these things, you know, these atoms come after a supernova. You know, that's what I make the artificial stars out of, and the limestone. So I'm just trying to explain some of this stuff, and each one of these things will give you an endless amount of photon energy. You can't damage it. It will be like that the day you put it in the reactor, and it will come out 1,000 years from now and look exactly the same. Let's continue on. So the electricity is very important, but there's a more important element than that, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But what I wanted to show you is right here. This is on my EMR poster. If you come over here, we're going to look at infrared radiation. Go back and read that. And what we're going to do is I'm going to get this metal bowl right here, and I'm going to show you something of how the behemoth gives off infrared radiation. Now you can't see it in this room, you know, and right now its IR reading is 78 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? So that's the reading that I'm getting at room temperature right now. So anything at room temperature emits IR radiation. But what I'm going to show you later is it's going to be a lot higher than that. So basically in layman's terms, these things give off heat. They throw off heat. If you put a few of these in a circle and turn it on, you can heat this entire living room in a very short time. Depending on what I do with it, how much gas I make, how fast I run it, and how long, I can determine on how much heat this thing generates. So I'll show you that later. But let's just keep moving on. So you got to remember the water is part of the end game, ladies and gentlemen. Part of the Great Reset. Think about this. That's why the aliens came here. They wanted the water all for themselves. Now we proposed sharing that in the beginning. You know, we were going to share the water. We were going to share the technology. But the aliens didn't want to do that. The elite and the people at the top, they didn't want to do that. They want to take it all for themselves. They want to have water all themselves because it powers their cold fusion reactors, their big starships, all their weapon systems and everything. So they're just going to wipe man out. That's why we see them terraforming the earth like they're doing. It's the most valuable resource on the planet. That's right. They've known this all along. It's what they're after. They're here to steal the water. They're going to steal the water. That's why we're moving at ludicrous speed. We can't let them do that. See a little spacecraft?
Is the remains of what looks like a door. A lot of people have missed that. Now, what would land on the back of that Sphinx? This is the interesting bit. That is what I believe landed on the back of the Sphinx. Celestial ship. There's a papyrus that shows this whole story, the light radiating, the dome, the base, and look at the strange 3 legs, one forward and these curved ones curving away from it when you look at it from the front view. Now if you look at the papyrus, there it is. This whole story is about Nut, the sacred
So remember when I told you guys this reactor would heat up? See, look at the temperature now. See, and I can generate an enormous amount of heat if I want to. That's one of the secrets. An endless amount of heat, IR radiation, can be generated by these behemoth wet cells. And the hotter they get, the faster you can produce the gas. See, the easier it is to break that water molecule. So I'm going to work on my dinosaur here. I got to get him out of there. I got to get my non-renewable energy out of this ice he's frozen in. I froze him in there. Haven't been able to get him out. Get him out of there. Get him out of there. Now about that most important element of all. It's on the top here. It's the most important thing. It's you. That's right, because none of this stuff will work. Nothing on this wall. Everything you see here, it's just crude matter without you. So we're going to cover more. We're going to talk more about these snakes and these non-renewable energies, and we're running out of time. We don't have all the time in the world, guys. So we've got to stop the release of these non-renewable energies. They're trying to get them out of the Arctic. They want to get these non-renewable energies out of there so they can burn them